That's legitimate. It's the same fucking thing. That's why it pisses me off about.
Baby.
It's what pisses me off about the scientific community is that like,
Hail
you know,
Satan.
it's popular to talk shit about Christianity or whatever. But then like they act like their own shit doesn't stink. It's like, come on, man, give me a frickin' break. Like I don't have a problem. Like if somebody conducts themselves in a moral way, I don't really care what your religion is. I really don't give a shit. Yeah, and that's the thing is we all need to respect each other. If we don't respect each other, how can we respect the planet? Think about that. You know what I mean? Like little things lead to big things. That's why again, when I look at the app on my phone with the weather and I see, because I look at different sources too. When I look at them and I see what the weather is going to be like, if I can go like an entire month and see what the weather is going to do exactly, at least a week out every day, like then I'll be convinced. But until then, I don't believe anybody can tell me what's going to happen in 5 years with the Earth.
You see, and to finish what I started, so here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I willingly remain ignorant for some things, and I'd rather not know. That's just my decision because I just can't keep up with it.
Hey, Nick.
Welcome. However,
it's a friendly conversation, believe it or not. This is it's my good friend Brightside here.
Believe it or not, though. Leave that. However, you see, I don't think the people even who are concerned with global warming and are so hell-bent on having that way of thinking.
Majority of them, no.
Yeah, they don't really care about the Earth. It's really always the concern goes towards the other human beings, because what happens is this. Whereas with a solar flare or an asteroid blast or whatever, or an alien invasion,
well, an alien invasion that might be a thing too. That might be conducive to a fear because it can be. You can fearmonger people into doing shit. So, but yeah, asteroids or solar flares,
those things can happen.
You can't tax them though.
Very quickly.
You can't tax them.
You can't tax them, and that's a very good point. But
that's why they're not talked about. There's no money in it.
They happen very, very quickly, and the effects of them will be very rapid. Now, when we talk about a climate change or global, call it whatever, when you know that things are changing, you see, unless nature finds a way to keep up with that change, species die, and it triggers a chain reaction because it's all a part of a biosphere. One kind of animal or bacteria or whatever, something dies, and then everything that feeds on it or relies on it dies as well. So we have to be mindful of that. But how do you do that? And as it turns out, the human action or inaction has an effect on this, and it can alter the course of this.
Well, it's like you also have to have a solid.
We have the responsibility.
But you have to have a solid plan, though, because the thing is, it's just like Germany. They tried going.
Absolutely, yes.
They tried going 100% solar powered, and what happened was because there's apparently, I mean, news to me, right? Fuck. Apparently, they didn't have a way to, store solar energy, which you would think that would be a thing. I don't know. I thought we were in the 21st century, but whatever. So they wanted to make the move to solar energy and couldn't perceive how down the road not storing the energy might be a problem. I don't know. I thought, that's weird, right? So what had happened was they were going fine for a while, but then winter hit and they had a total spike in how much energy they needed. And in the end, they actually spent more money and more resources on fuel than they would have if they just not did anything. So sometimes not doing anything is actually the better option. Sometimes realizing like, hey, we've already kind of come a long way as it is. And really, like, a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people, like, because I used to work around cars and stuff. And not me, I didn't work on them, but I worked around them. But there was some guy at work that was, I mean, he was a very fucking smart guy. You could just tell, you know what I mean? He was a very smart guy, and he knew engines. He was one of the technicians, that we had. And basically, he was talking about how, and I can't remember exactly, and I wish I could, basically how there was a different type of engine going back to, like, I don't know, the 1920s or 40s, where instead of 40 miles to the gallon, people were getting like 100 miles to the gallon. and we still don't have that technology because like the way that the engines are designed now. And of course, yeah, you always hear those people. There's always somebody in the crowd, but I mean, he was just a really smart person that I had talked to, and I looked into what he was talking about, and yeah, that was actually like a thing, you know. Of course, Nikola Tesla just, you know, vanished somehow. But about your comment, Nick, the thing is, you can't ignore people that you disagree with either, necessarily. You know what I mean? You got to take everybody into account. And
back in a second. Put me again, Jack.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. But the argument, this is the thing, and don't be dismissive, because the argument is not necessarily whether or not the climate is changing. Like, I'm not arguing that climate is not changing. There's no doubt that the climate changes. We had an ice age, right? And then the ice age ended. And that happened without humankind, you know, driving vehicles around or, you know, running toasters, right? So that completely happened. I think it's just nature. Nature changes. We tend to think that things are a certain way, and nature begs to differ with that idea. That's not how nature is. But I will say this: the argument is basically how much impact, if any, do human beings have on the Earth's climate? Like, how different would the? Because like, if you look at the interview with shit, what's his name? There's an interview with basically Bill Nye and Carl Tuckerson, and he was basically asking him, like, what is the difference? Like, I understand that you're saying that there's, you know, climate change. That's fine. I'm not arguing with that. But what is the difference now? Like, what would the difference be without people being involved? Like, without people being on the Earth and doing things, what would the difference be? And he just couldn't answer the question. I mean, that's the question that's the answer that nobody has. Nobody has the answer of how much different things would be. You know, so if we don't know how different things would be, then how are we entirely sure of? Do you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying here? If we don't understand what the difference is, then how can we have the value there? Like, how do we know? It's like you're trying to figure out a math problem and you don't have one of the answers, you know? So you're having to do algebra, but you don't have enough data to do it, you know? Maybe they don't want to believe, or perhaps too inconvenient for them to want to believe, but then there are people who just like to disagree. We also live in a world where, especially in the US, people feed the need or want to be extreme. I mean, like I said, I mean, I recycle because it's a good thing to do, you know. And I wish that a lot of people don't, because I live in an area where it just so happens to be easy for me, so I do it. So it's not like I'm a saint, but a lot of people live in an area where recycling is actually at a much higher cost to people, you know, and it's more of a hassle. Like, they have to pay for it, and it's a hassle, and you know, and that's why they don't bother, you know. But
I mean, the way things are, and this is I've always stuck to the acta non verba, actions not words, and I think that what it boils down to really is this: we, you know, in all honesty, we don't have to be responsible for this planet. We can just destroy the whole thing and move on.
Thank you for that, fellow. Welcome to the viewership.
And in many, you know, in a sense, we should totally just mind the living bejesus out of it, get everything, build a ship, and leave it and go someplace.
Minecraft.
Yeah, just and believe you me, that's one of the many outcomes. You know, just live like a giant nomadic species.
Well, it's like we have discussions about reducing life, and I'm not saying that's a whole nother. Oh God, that's a whole nother animal, right? But
that's far.
I don't think that we should just yeah. I don't know, like, let disease run rampant and kill each other off necessarily. Like, I think space exploration is that should be a thing. I don't know, we're in the 21st century. I think that should definitely be a thing. I mean, like, it's kind of difficult because we kind of don't have our own shit together, you know. That's kind of a thing. Yeah, we've been around for a couple thousand years, and we still can't stand each other on Earth, you know what I mean? But hey, whatever, man. Like, we should totally colonize on space somewhere. You know what I mean? We should definitely we should instead of looking to Because that's the ultimate goal. That's going to be the ultimate end of climate change. Is we're going to come to the realization that, you know what, we don't have a big fucking... All the efforts will not have an effect on the Earth. Like anything that we do, like all the efforts that we're trying to do, because okay, it's just like, realistically speaking, like let's look at if we in the United States, okay, all these rules that have changed because of the past administration, like for example, not drilling for oil and shutting down coal mines and workers losing their jobs. We think, oh, well, we're doing less carbon emissions, and that's a good thing, and we know it is because we just know. Well, really not necessarily, but also, like, there's good and bad ways to make coal, and at the end of the day, like, we all need fucking power. Unless you don't have power, I don't really want to hear about it. Because really, the only thing that's happening with that is we're just buying our coal from China. So it's a zero-sum game. So the same amount of coal is being mined. It's just costing us more money, and we just don't have the jobs. So we're not really accomplishing anything. We're actually just making it worse on ourselves for no explainable reason whatsoever. Okay, like, if I didn't need to have coal... if we could all have energy from water, I would love it. That'd be great. You know what I mean? If we could have energy that, you know, somehow that would only emit water vapor... You know, that'd be fantastic. But right now, as it stands, even with vehicles that do that, one, water vapor is fucking terrible on car engines, which means they break down faster, which means you have to produce more of them. And two, in order to make the batteries for like an electric car, it takes really the same amount of energy, if not more, than it would if you just drove a gasoline vehicle for, you know, so many years. Because you're basically just storing the amount of energy in the vehicle prematurely. That's all you're doing. It's not really a big deal. Really, if you want to talk about cutting down on waste and saving on fuel and all these other things, the best thing you can do, if you're talking about really saving on energy, best thing you can do, buy a used vehicle. It's really the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
Stop consuming shit. First off, okay? You want to talk about not being wasteful? Stop buying a new fucking phone every 1 to 2 years. I've had the same phone for 4 or 5. And then I have to get bitched at by people about how, you know, I'm just a wasteful asshole. No. I just like having power in my house, man. You know? So, I mean, like, I don't know. It's not fair to label any one side or the other. It's just, oh, everybody's crazy. Like, it wouldn't be fair to me to look at Bill Nye and be like, oh yeah, all people that believe in climate change are like him. Because I don't believe that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everybody is, but I don't think everybody that everybody that believes in man-made climate change. And maybe that's how I have to refer to it from now on, man-made climate change, because I'm not gonna. Nobody's arguing that the climate changes. It changes every fucking day. But, but, you know, how much of it is man-made? You know, it's debatable.
Believe it or not, I don't know the first thing about Bill Nye. I've only seen the man. I hear he's...
Well, I loved him as a kid. I used to get up early in the morning, and that's the other thing. Oh, I'm anti-science because, I don't know, God, no, sorry. Like, there are a lot of scientists that actually, they believe in a divine entity of some kind, or a higher power of some kind, but they're also scientists. It's very possible. I believe the guy that invented the MRI machine actually was like that, believe it or not. But anyway, like, yeah, you know, a lot of it has to do with consuming, and I don't, you know, I believe in less is more. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm always that guy that like, hey, are you gonna buy this game? Or, you know, no, I don't really feel the need to. You know, like even if like, let's say money's not the issue, or the game is gonna be amazing, or I just kind of don't. Like, I really believe that we all need to develop the capacity to be happy with less. Like, happiness, like from the book I read, like one of the quotes was basically, happiness does not come from acquiring more. Happiness actually comes from the capacity, like developing the capacity to enjoy less.
Jack, my good man, are you sure you're an American? Are you sure you're not a Russian spy or something?